everyone to week 1 of the 28-day challenge. So today we're focusing on one of the most misunderstood aspects of health, which is metabolism. So when people talk about metabolism, they often describe it as fast or as slow, but in reality, metabolism is simply the collection of processes that help your body turn food into energy. And essentially, it's what's inside of you that keeps you alive, and it's powering your brain, your muscles, your organs, and every single body cell. So in today's session, we're going to break metabolism down into some simple practical concepts so that you can understand what metabolism is, what affects it, and also what slows it down, and also how the 28-day challenge is specifically designed to reset it. So hopefully by the end of this session, you'll have the tools and also the knowledge you need to start improving your metabolic health immediately. So as I mentioned, we'll define metabolism in a clear and also a practical way. So not just a scientific definition, but essentially what it means for your daily life, your energy, your weight, and also your long-term health. Secondly, we'll take a look at what influences your metabolism. So things like your activity levels, your hormones, nutrition, and also stress and sleep. And thirdly, we'll explore the most common causes of a slow metabolism. So these are things that many individuals experience without realizing they're affecting their body's ability to burn energy efficiently. And finally, as I mentioned just earlier, we'll talk about how the 28-day challenge is structured to specifically support metabolic health through its meal design, its structured eating plans, and also everything else as well. So in today's session, everything that you will learn will tie directly back into the practical steps that you'll be taking throughout the challenge. So firstly, we'll talk about what metabolism is. And when we speak about metabolism, essentially we're talking about 3 key functions. Firstly, it's converting energy or food into energy. So every time you eat, your body breaks that food down into fuel. So whether it's carbohydrates, it's fats, or it's proteins, your body essentially decides how that fuel is used, whether it's immediately stored for later or burned at resting rate. Secondly, metabolism refers to the way in which the body regulates its ability to burn energy. So your metabolism determines how many calories you burn at resting rate. So even when you're sitting or sleeping or simply relaxing, this is essentially what's called the resting metabolic rate. So this is influenced heavily by things like muscle mass, hormones, and genetics. Thirdly, metabolism refers to how we provide energy to body cells. So your cells constantly need energy to stay alive, function, and also repair and grow. So a healthy metabolism ensures your body has a steady, balanced supply of energy and prevents the spikes, crashes, or ongoing fatigue. So in simple terms, metabolism is the way your body manages, uses, and burns energy. And a healthy metabolism often feels like stable energy, stable moods, good sleep, easier weight management, and also better mental clarity. There are a few key factors that influence your metabolism, and we're going to break them down in this particular slide. So firstly, activity levels. Movement is one of the biggest drivers of metabolism. So the more you move throughout the day, even if it's low intensity movement like walking, the more energy your body burns. And physical activity also improves muscle mass and insulin sensitivity, which also both support metabolism. Age is another factor that also directly influences metabolism. So as we age, our metabolism will naturally slow down due to some shifts in hormones and also the reduced muscle mass as well. But lifestyle choices can slow or significantly accelerate this process. The good news is that age makes things harder, but it doesn't make things impossible. Thirdly, food intake is also relevant in terms of its impact on metabolism. So your body obviously needs enough nutrients to run your metabolism properly. So long-term dieting, skipping meals, or eating low-quality foods can often signal your body to conserve energy, essentially slowing your metabolic rate. The fourth factor is hormones. So hormones are the messengers that tell your metabolism what to do. So stress hormones, thyroid hormones, insulin, and also reproductive hormones, these all play a major role and a major factor in terms of regulating metabolism. So even small imbalances can lead to big metabolic changes. Muscle mass. So muscle burns energy even at rest. So the more muscle you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate. So this is why strength training becomes even more important as we age. Our sleep quality is also something that impacts metabolism, as poor sleep can disrupt hormones that regulate hunger, cravings, stress, and blood sugar. So, for example, one night of bad sleep can actually change how your body uses energy the next day. And chronic stress as well is something that also directly impacts metabolism, because chronic stress increases cortisol, which can raise our blood sugar levels, increase our appetite, and also encourage fat storage, especially around the abdominal area. So the key message here is that metabolism is not fixed, and it actually constantly adapts based on the body's current environment. And some of these factors here that we've discussed are modifiable, and some of these are obviously non-modifiable. So now let's explore what slows a metabolism down. So in terms of high stress levels, as I mentioned earlier, cortisol is often significantly elevated during a state of chronic stress. So when cortisol is elevated, your body enters almost a conservation mode. So it holds on to energy, it often increases your appetite, and it slows down the fat burning process. Hormonal changes as well. So whether it's menopause or thyroid issues or monthly cycles, hormone shifts essentially impact how the body stores and burns energy. Chronic inflammation also disrupts our cellular function. So that actually makes it harder for the body to use energy efficiently, and it also contributes to insulin resistance. And this particular condition, known as insulin resistance, reduces the body's ability to manage blood sugar, leading to more fat storage and also lower energy levels. Less muscle also equals fewer calories burned at resting rate. And this is one of the biggest contributors to a slow metabolism with age. And yo-yo dieting, low-calorie diets, and also restrictive eating teach the body to slow down in order to conserve energy. And this is why people often regain weight very easily after long-term dieting. Lack of sleep can also disrupt hunger hormones and metabolic regulation, leading to cravings, overeating, and also slower fat burning. So essentially, a slow metabolism is rarely caused by one thing. It's usually a combination of several factors. So during menopause, several metabolic changes can also occur. So firstly, estrogen drops as well. So estrogen plays a role in regulating where fat is stored, how insulin works, and how efficiently your body burns energy. So when levels tend to drop, your body can actually become more prone to storing fat, especially around the abdomen. And before menopause, women tend to store fat around the hips and the thighs. And after menopause, fat often shifts to the belly area. So this is hormonally driven and not simply about calories. Women also naturally lose muscle with age, but menopause tends to accelerate this process. So less muscle means often a lower resting metabolic rate. And when insulin sensitivity decreases, this means that the body becomes less efficient at processing sugars, which can lead to weight gain and also increased cravings. Now, all of these changes can obviously feel quite frustrating, but they're absolutely manageable, especially with strength training, protein-rich meals, and also habits that support our metabolism. In terms of thyroid function, this is one of the most important regulators of our metabolism. So the thyroid is essentially a small butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, and it plays a big role in your overall energy balance. So specifically, the thyroid hormones regulate our metabolism by regulating our metabolism, and these thyroid hormones determine how quickly your body uses energy. So when our thyroid hormones are low, everything essentially slows down. Things like digestion, our energy production, fat burning, and even our brain function. So this is why people with underactive thyroid often feel tired, cold, and also have difficulty losing weight. Your thyroid also regulates your body's internal temperature. So if your thyroid is not producing enough of the hormones, you may feel cold all the time, or you may even notice your hands and your extremities, like your feet, stay cold even when other people are saying that they feel warm. Every single cell in the body also relies on thyroid hormones to produce energy. So a low thyroid means that your cells operate at a lower speed, which can lead to fatigue, brain fog, and also low motivation levels. And your body also relies on a few nutrients to support the production of thyroid hormones. So your body uses iodine to create thyroid hormones, and without enough iodine, the hormone production actually drops. So iodine is a nutrient that's found in seaweed, in iodized salt, and also in seafood. However, the intake of iodine has decreased due to modern low salt diets. In terms of selenium, this is a mineral that helps to convert inactive thyroid hormone, which is T4, into the active form, which is T3. And without enough selenium, even if your thyroid is producing enough hormone, your body can't actually use it effectively. Zinc is important for hormone conversion and also immune functioning, and a deficiency can often contribute to low energy levels, reduced metabolic rate, and also hair loss. And iron is needed to make thyroid hormones and to also transport oxygen to your cells. So low iron levels, which are especially common in women, can mimic low thyroid symptoms. So essentially, when the thyroid is underactive or when these nutrients are low, metabolism will slow down. And this is why nutrient-rich eating isn't just about calories, it's essentially about supporting what's going on inside your body. So as we age, several factors can also affect our metabolism. And these changes are not necessarily your fault, but they're simply just part of the aging process. However, understanding them can help us make some better lifestyle choices. As we age, hormones like DHEA, growth hormone, testosterone, estrogen, and also progesterone naturally decline. So these hormones play major roles in muscle maintenance, in fat distribution, and also energy production. And lower levels can make it easier to gain fat and harder to build or maintain muscle. In terms of mitochondria inefficiency, the mitochondria are essentially energy factories inside your cells. And over time, they will become less efficient at producing energy. And this is one of the reasons why you may tend to find yourself feeling more tired or find physical activity more challenging as you get older. In terms of sarcopenia, this process actually starts around age 30, with adults losing about 3 to 8% of their muscle mass each decade. And then this rate obviously accelerates after the age of 50. So less muscle obviously means a slower metabolism, and this is why strength training becomes incredibly important as we age, as this can help to counteract the natural decline in muscle mass. Aging can also increase inflammation and slow recovery, making it harder to exercise consistently. However, gentle, consistent movement actually improves inflammation and also supports metabolism. So the key message here is that age changes things in our body, but not in a way that can't be improved. So the habits that you build now can obviously dramatically slow or even reverse many of the age-related metabolic changes. So muscle is one of the most powerful tools you have for improving your metabolism. So muscle is a metabolically active tissue, meaning it burns energy even when you're not moving. So if you increase your muscle mass, you effectively increase the number of calories your body burns at resting rate all day long. Your muscles also act like a sponge for glucose, which is sugar in your bloodstream. So when you have more muscle, your body can actually store and use glucose more effectively. And this supports steady energy levels and also helps to prevent insulin resistance. When the muscles are active, they also help to pull glucose out of the bloodstream. So this reduces the strain on your pancreas and can also help to lower the risk of metabolic conditions. Strength training and maintaining lean muscle help to support healthy hormone production. So this includes stress hormones, reproductive hormones, and also metabolic hormones. And this can effectively help to stabilize our appetite, our mood, and also our energy levels. And when muscle declines due to age, inactivity, stress, or low protein intake, metabolism will slow down because the body has less active tissue to maintain it. So this is why strength training is such a key part of the 28-day challenge. So even 2 or 3 short strength sessions per week can have a dramatic impact on your metabolic health. Another important factor in metabolic health is ensuring your body has the nutrients that it needs. So if key nutrients are missing, your metabolism simply cannot function at its fullest capacity. So some very important ones for nutrient deficiencies that we want to keep in mind include iodine. So as I mentioned earlier, this is something that helps to regulate the thyroid hormones, and without sufficient iodine, the thyroid essentially cannot make enough of the hormones. And the thyroid is obviously responsible for regulating our metabolism. So without enough iodine, this will slow down our metabolism and effectively reduce our energy levels and can also lead to weight gain. And many people unknowingly consume very little iodine, especially if they're avoiding iodized salt or seafood in their diet. Iron carries oxygen to our cells and energizes our cells by carrying oxygen to them. So low iron means low oxygen delivery, which can often lead to fatigue, brain fog, reduced exercise capacity, and also slower metabolism. Magnesium is a mineral that supports blood sugar regulation and also energy production. So it's involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in our body, many of which relate to energy metabolism. And low magnesium can often make cravings worse and increase our fatigue and also disrupt our sleeping habits, all of which affect our metabolism. Selenium, as I mentioned earlier, works alongside iodine to convert the inactive thyroid hormone into its active form. Vitamin B12 helps to convert food into energy. So low levels often lead to fatigue, weakness, and also reduced metabolic efficiency. And it's especially important for those following a vegetarian or vegan diet and also in older adults. And vitamin D is not just a vitamin, but it's actually a hormone. So low levels of vitamin D often increase inflammation and also reduce insulin sensitivity. And many adults are particularly deficient during the winter months due to less sunlight exposure. So nutrient-dense meals like those included in your 28-day challenge can help to correct these deficiencies and also to support your metabolism at the cellular level. So now we'll have a look at how physical activity impacts metabolism. So many people assume inactivity only affects weight, but in reality, it influences your metabolism in multiple factors. So in terms of inflammation, when we're inactive, the body actually becomes more prone to inflammation. So movement essentially acts like a pump for the lymphatic system, helping remove waste products and also inflammatory compounds. So without regular movement, our inflammatory markers actually build up in our body, and this can actually slow metabolic processes down, making it harder for the body to burn energy more efficiently. Your mitochondria, which is essentially your cell's energy factories, rely on movement to stay healthy. Exercise encourages them to grow and multiply and therefore produce more energy. And when you're inactive, the mitochondria become sluggish and also reduce in numbers. And this reduction reduces the amount of energy that your body can produce, which makes you feel fatigued and can also contribute to low motivation levels and a slower metabolism. Movement also helps your cells respond better to insulin. Inactivity, however, can lead to insulin resistance, meaning your cells don't respond as well to insulin, so your body produces more of it. And higher insulin can equal more fat storage, especially around the abdomen area. Physical inactivity is also one of the fastest ways to lose muscle mass. And because muscle burns energy even at resting rate, losing it essentially slows down your metabolism. This makes everyday activities often feel a lot more difficult and can create a cycle where low energy levels lead to even less physical activity or movement. But the good news is that even with light movement like walking or short strength training session, this can help break the cycle and also reactivate your metabolism. Sleep is also one of the most underrated forces behind metabolic health. Poor sleep just doesn't just make you feel tired, it also biologically changes the way in which your body operates and uses stored energy. So in terms of the hunger hormone changes, ghrelin is your hunger hormone. So this is basically the hormone that tells your brain that you're hungry, and leptin is your satiety hormone, which is basically the hormone that tells your brain that you're full. Poor sleep essentially increases our ghrelin levels and decreases our leptin levels, meaning that you can end up feeling hungrier, you end up craving more food, and you also feel less satisfied after eating a meal. And this can drive overeating and make appetite regulation more difficult in the long term. A lack of sleep also raises our cortisol levels, which is our body's stress hormone. So chronically elevated cortisol signals the body to hold onto fat, particularly around the abdominal area. And it also increases our appetite and cravings for sugary, high energy foods. One poor night of sleep can also reduce insulin sensitivity the next day, making your body less efficient at managing blood sugar levels and more prone to storing fat. And sleep deprivation also directly increases our cravings for carbohydrates and for energy dense foods because the brain is looking for quick energy sources when it's tired. This creates a pattern where poor sleep leads to poorer food choices and then worsens our metabolic health in the long term. So improving our sleep quality, even by 30 to 60 minutes a night, can dramatically improve our metabolism, energy, mood, and also our appetite regulation. Stress isn't just an emotional experience, it also has a major biological consequence for our metabolism. And this is particularly in the context of chronic stress levels. So cortisol temporarily increases our blood sugar levels, and cortisol is designed to give you quick energy in stressful situations. It tells your liver to release glucose into the bloodstream, preparing you for a fight or flight response. When stress is occasional, this is essentially harmless and is perfectly normal. But when stress becomes chronic, cortisol often stays elevated, keeping your blood sugar high all day. Some effects of chronically elevated cortisol include disrupted sleep, high insulin levels, increased abdominal fat, and increased cravings. So the high cortisol at night essentially makes it difficult to fall asleep and also stay asleep. And this can start a cycle where stress affects your sleep and sleep affects your metabolism. In terms of insulin levels, cortisol can raise our blood sugar and insulin rises to manage our blood sugar. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the high insulin leads to fat storage, especially around the abdominal area. And with the abdominal fat increasing, belly fat is essentially a metabolically active tissue and more responsive to cortisol. So chronic stress creates a preference for storing fat centrally, which is linked to insulin resistance and also inflammation. And cortisol increases appetite, especially for high sugar, high fat foods that offer quick energy. And this is why stress eating is also quite common. So it's a completely normal thing. It's biological and it's not necessarily a lack of willpower. And stress management isn't just about emotional well-being. It's a core part of metabolic health, and small daily practices can make a significant difference. The insulin resistance is one of the most common metabolic issues affecting adults today, and many people don't realize that they have it. So insulin resistance occurs when your cells stop responding properly to insulin. Insulin's job is to transport glucose or sugar into your cells for energy. And when the cells become resistant, your body compensates by producing more insulin. And over time, this leads to higher insulin levels, higher blood sugar levels because the body is no longer responsive to the insulin, and increased fat storage. Elevated insulin also makes it very difficult for the body to burn stored fat. So instead, the body prioritizes storing more fat, particularly around the midsection. And common symptoms of insulin resistance include brain fog. So the fluctuating blood sugar affects our concentration, our focus, and also our mental clarity. And we also tend to crave carbohydrates and sugar because the cells aren't receiving energy efficiently. So your brain often thinks that you need more quick sources of fuel, like some refined carbohydrates or like high sugar foods. Our high insulin levels also block fat burning pathways, even with exercise and dieting, making it more difficult to lose weight. And when blood sugar rises and falls too quickly, it often results in energy crashes, causing that fatigue after meals. Insulin resistance also shows up as central weight gain, which gives us the apple-shaped sort of body pattern, and therefore can increase our waist circumference. So the earlier insulin resistance is addressed through nutrition, movement, and also stress management, the easier it is to reverse. Fatty liver is another condition that's also becoming increasingly common, especially non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So this is a condition where excess fat builds up in the liver cells, impairing the liver's function. So fatty liver is essentially the accumulation of too much fat in the liver, and the liver plays a major role in metabolism, including breaking down fats, regulating blood sugar, and also detoxing the body of any toxins or waste products. So non-alcoholic fatty liver refers to this fat buildup being caused by lifestyle factors other than alcohol. So this is strongly linked to a sedentary lifestyle, a poor quality diet, high blood sugar levels or insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and also metabolic syndrome. So in terms of how fatty liver impacts our metabolism, the liver essentially becomes less efficient at breaking down fats, leading to increased fat storage in the body. And a fatty liver also releases inflammatory compounds, which disrupts hormones and also our metabolism. And since the liver is crucial in regulating blood sugar, fatty liver makes it much harder for the body to maintain balanced blood sugar levels and insulin levels, which can lead to further damage to our metabolism. The good news is that fatty liver is often reversible with many lifestyle changes like increased movement and a nutrient-dense diet, as well as reducing alcohol and sugar intake to improve our insulin sensitivity. In terms of how the 28-day challenge is designed, it's designed very intentionally to support metabolic reset. So some of the key elements to the 28-day challenge include high protein meals, a low carb structure to the meals, a low sugar approach, nutrient dense meals, structured eating patterns, and also portion control. So in terms of the high protein meals, protein intake will boost metabolism through the thermic effect of food. So this means that your body burns more energy digesting it. And it also helps to stabilize your blood sugar, keeping you fuller for longer, and also helps to maintain your muscle mass. A low carb structure helps, especially with refined low carbs, helps to lower insulin levels and also stabilize blood sugar levels. This encourages the body to move from fat storage mode into fat burning mode. Sugar spikes insulin quickly, so by limiting added sugar, the challenge essentially helps to reduce cravings, improve energy stability, and also support weight loss by managing our insulin levels. And all of our meals help to correct the nutritional deficiencies that are highlighted early in the presentation. So things like magnesium, iodine, selenium, and also vitamin D. With structured eating patterns, eating at regular intervals helps to regulate hunger hormones and helps to prevent the blood sugar roller coaster that leads to overeating. And balanced portion sizes help to regulate energy intake without strict dieting protocols. And this prevents the metabolic slowdown that often comes from extreme calorie restriction. So all of these elements combined together help to reset and also support a healthy metabolic rhythm. So in terms of the key lifestyle strategies for improving metabolism, there's a few that you definitely want to keep in mind to ensure long-term success with improving your metabolism. So aim for protein at most meals. This helps to support muscle retention, keep you full, stabilize the blood sugar, and also help to control cravings. Also, move daily. So remember, it doesn't need to be intense. So things like walking also help to improve insulin sensitivity and also reduce inflammation and also help to boost our mood. With strength training, building muscle is one of the most effective strategies to improve your metabolism as it increases your resting metabolic rate when you build more muscle and also helps your body process energy more efficiently. Good sleep also helps to regulate our hunger hormones and is also one of the fastest ways to improve energy and also appetite regulation. And stress management practices like breathing, exercises, or light movement or journaling can also significantly improve metabolic function. Alcohol is also something that interferes with fat burning, sleep quality, and also blood sugar regulation. So reducing our intake helps to support metabolic recovery and also lowers inflammation levels in the body. So these lifestyle strategies are essentially small steps that have big payoffs, especially when they're combined together. So in summary, metabolism is adaptable. It is not something that's fixed or broken. It responds to your habits, your environment, and also your health situation. Most barriers are also reversible as well. So issues even like insulin resistance, fatty liver, and also age-related concerns like sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass. These things can also dramatically improve with the right approach. And also small habits create big changes over time. So you don't need to overhaul your life overnight, nor do you need to overhaul your lifestyle. You simply need consistent supportive habits like improving sleep, increasing protein, moving more, and managing stress levels. So hopefully moving forward, our 28-day challenge will guide you through each of these steps in a more structured, sustainable way so that you can apply them long term to your lifestyle to improve your metabolism. So now I'll hand it over to Kate for a Q&A session. So if there are any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat and Kate will answer them for you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll take this offline now that it's being recorded. So we'll just end record here and take your question one-on-one.